I'll just go ahead and start and you can continue letting me. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday night. It's August 19th, 2024. I'm really, really humbled and honored that you decided to join me tonight on this team training. If you haven't noticed, I renamed our team page. It's still Team Wellness, but there is just something inside of me that says we are going to rise up. Yes, I know that was like a convention, that convention theme a couple of years ago, but I just feel like we're in that season. Like, I need to rise up in my leadership. We need to rise up in our businesses and our connections and our, in our just taking responsibility for everything. So I renamed it Rise Up. And so all of our Monday night meetings are going to be called Rising Up Team Meetings, which is so funny because you guys go and hop over to the Rising Diamonds one. But anyway, so what I wanted to talk to you guys about is actually habits. And I'm talking specifically about habits because I feel personally that I have fallen into some bad habits in the last few years that has been probably detrimental to my business, and maybe you have had some of these bad habits as well that has hurt your business. So we all know that your daily habits determine your destiny. They just do. Every good decision pays off. And I am praying that this training can be a wake up call for you to become disciplined with your decisions. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your destiny. So if you have a dream and you want to get there and you know it's your destiny, like, you have to be disciplined. Okay. And so, first, I'm going to talk about the 5 things that might be hindering good habits. So we're going to talk about the bad first, and then we're going to end it with, like, what do we need to do different? So number 1, this is the number 1 bad habit. You're comfortable. They say that if you stop growing, you're dying. And has that been true for you at any point in your business, in your life, in anything? We know this to be true with marriages and our faith. If we're not growing, we're dying. So, how long has it been that you challenged yourself to read a book? Read a book. Like, actually pick up a book and read it. Learn something new, try something new, cook something, learn a new language, whatever that is. But being content is fine. I'm not saying that content and comfortable are the same thing. Content is fine. Do not confuse contentedness with being afraid to go after something that you want or being too lazy to go after what you really want. There's a story in the Bible that goes along with this, and I think maybe you guys are going to think about what you're doing with your businesses a little bit differently when it comes to comfort after you hear this story. And maybe some of you guys know it. But the story is when God had told Abraham and his father Terah to go and set out into the land of Canaan. So here are 2 men that are set out to go to the land of Canaan, the land of abundance and prosperity and promises, right? And what happened along the way is that Terah stopped and settled in the land of Haran. Okay? He stopped and settled. Think of those 2 words. Have you stopped and settled? Because Abraham kept going and he got the promises, and Terah stopped and settled in the land of Haran. So he never made it to there. So don't let that be your story. If you have settled at anything that you're not happy with, you get to make a decision. You get to keep going. You do not have to stop. Okay, number 2, you have settled at a miserable job. I'm not saying what you're doing is a bad job. Okay, please don't misconstrue my words. But you've settled for something that has maybe taken the joy out of what you like to do, the passion, or even the purpose. And here's what's interesting. They say an 8-hour-a-day job for the entire year of your retirement is more than 1/3 of your life. 80% of Americans claim to be miserable or unfulfilled in their careers. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be your habit. Okay, number 3, this may not resonate with some of you, but I know it definitely resonated with me during COVID in the last couple of years, maybe even. But number 3 is you watch too much TV. And maybe your TV is equated to Netflix or scrolling or whatever, but average Americans watch 4 hours of television per day. And that's over 30 hours a week in front of a screen. If you deducted 1 hour of TV time, you can read a couple of chapters, you can listen to a podcast, you can clean a room, you could work out, you could brainstorm an idea, or you could do something purposeful like working in your business. So that was number 3. Number 4, you make excuses. Excuses are what we tell ourselves when we don't want to admit that we are where we are because of our choices. I'm going to repeat that because I think this is going to be like a little bit in the gut. Okay, excuses are what we tell ourselves when we don't want to admit we are where we are because of our choices. If you really want to find something, or if you really want something, you will find a way, right? If you don't, you will find an excuse. You guys all know Jim Rohn, right? Jim Rohn is like millionaire, billionaire. He was a mentor, a leader to a lot of people. Ed Milet, oh golly, he's an older gentleman, but anyway, he was, before he became a millionaire, he was a struggling, penniless man. Okay, a wealthy man asked Jim this question. He says, Jim, why aren't you further along than where you are? What is your problem? And Jim gave him a list of reasons why he wasn't where he was, that he wanted to be. And his list looked maybe something similar like this. He blamed the taxes, he blamed the government, he blamed his job, his lack of education, his boss, his time, his kids, his spouse, his sports, his costs, COVID, whatever that is. This is the list that he made that he wasn't where he wanted to be. And so the mentor asked him, he says, why aren't you on that list? If you want the future to change, you have got to be the one to change it. And so from that point forward, the only name on the list of his excuses was himself. It wasn't any of this or his circumstances. It was himself. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. So Jim started picking up a book, a podcast. He started attended conferences to further his education. And within 5 years of doing that every single day, being intentional about improving himself, he became a millionaire. He became successful. Okay, number 5. This is going to be a good one because there's a lot of women on here, probably the majority of us, and women have memories like elephants. And we don't forget anything. But here we go. Number 5, if you relive the good old days, you are reliving in the past. And maybe some of those good old days were not such good old days. Maybe they were hurtful times or traumatic times, but you're always thinking about your past. You're still talking about yesterday and you haven't done anything for today. If you dwell in the past, you remain in the past. That's powerful. If you continue to think about, but it used to be like this, I remember it like that, I remember my highest points, I remember my biggest check. Thinking about the past is constantly staying in the past. This mindset can make you lose sight of where God wants to take you. Everything God has in store from you is ahead of you, not behind you. Your greatest assignment is before you. Luke 17:32 says, it's a commandment, it's a command. It says, remember Lot's wife. Now, God promised to save Lot and his family from the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, but he gave them one commandment back in Genesis, and that commandment was don't look back. Well, if you know how the story goes, Lot's wife looked back, giving the impression that she cared more about her past than her future, and she lost her ability to move ahead forever. She was forever stuck. When your memories are bigger than your dreams, it kills your todays. This is a serious issue. Are you spending more time rehearsing the past than planning your future? You're too focused on what was said, what was done, than what could be. So those are the 5 bad habits. Now we're going to get into the good ones, because the question is, a lot of people want to get somewhere. They want to go somewhere. And somebody, a mentor might say, do you want to do what I do? Do you want to have the responsibility? But really, the question is, underneath that is, are you willing to do what I did to do what I do? Are you willing to do what I did to do what I do? If you won't follow yourself, would anybody else want to follow you? That's why I'm here, because I wouldn't have followed myself a week ago. I wouldn't have. But I want to start being in front so that people feel inspired to lead themselves. You can't have $1 million dream with minimum wage habits. So we are going to go with routine number 1, habit number 1. Pray and meditate. Listen to the Lord. Everything that all of us that are still here today, there's almost 30 of us on this call tonight. All of us that are here today have believed that God has brought Plexus into our life for a reason. And when
but I'm definitely
Wendy, you're muted. I'm sorry. I was trying to mute someone else and I hit I'm sorry.
That's okay. We got it. So number 1, pray and meditate. Number 2, read. Make yourself read. The more I learn, the more I earn. We are in an information, I don't know if I want to say an information crisis, but we have so much at our fingertips to be able to learn. If we want to get better with finances, we can go read Dave Ramsey. If we want to become a better leader, we can read John Maxwell. If we want to be better at business, we can read Jim Rohn. Like, anything is out there available to make us better in something. If we want to learn a different language, we can go do Rosetta Stone. So the key is keep educating yourself. KEY. The key is keep educating yourself. Don't wish it were easier. Wish that you were better. Wish for more skills. Learn to work on yourself. If you learn to work on yourself, you will make a fortune. If you learn to work at a job, you will make a living. POUR is the acronym for passing on opportunities recently. Passing on opportunities recently. Every day there's another opportunity. Okay, number 3 habit that I'd love for you guys to get into as we rise up in our businesses is listen to audio messages every day. Turn your car into a classroom. Or me personally, I like to get on the treadmill and walk for 30 minutes a day and listen to a podcast for 30 minutes. So I'm learning as I'm also working out. The other thing that I don't know why this was with number 3, but it was written with number 3. Who knows? Maybe it's 3.5. We'll say that. It says keep the right company. If you had a list of the company that you were around and you had somebody that drug you down or improved you, where would those names go? Because you want to be around the people that are improving you and making you better, that are bringing you along. Okay. Number 4, I think this is a really important one, and a lot of people don't do it, is they don't take time to write their dreams and their goals. Don't impair your vision. Do not drive in a snowstorm without your windshield wipers. You can't see where you're going if you don't have the windshield wipers on. So I want to ask you, what is your goal? Like for today, for tomorrow, for the week, for the month, for your year, for the next 3 to 5 years? Like, do you know what that is? And how are you applying yourself to that 42% increase in success if you write out your goals? A 42% increase if you write out your goals. Number 5, we all know this one. It seems like a no-brainer, but it's actually exercise. Exercise. Do something that improves your body and your health and your mind. And that is with exercise. 20 minutes each day equates to over 10 hours of moving your body a month. I heard this saying that said, no matter what I do, that's just the way it is. Or that's just the way that no matter what I do, that's just the way it is. And I'm going to challenge you to say this instead. I can't ever lose weight because that's just the way I want it. That's going to be your saying after every excuse you give yourself. I can't learn how to be a good leader because that's just the way I want it. I can't find business builders because that's just the way I want it. I can't get in front of people on a Zoom because that's just the way I want it. And when you put those words behind every excuse, reason, or whatever it is that you're thinking about, it is going to change if you really do want it that way, or if you want to actually make a difference and turn it around. So, are we ready to change our habits so that next week we can work on something different that's going to continue to rise us up? Identifying the bad habits, improving the good habits. Maybe some of us are already doing, I was going to say some, none, or all of these. I definitely have some bad habits mixed in with some of the good habits. So I'm going to ditch the old ones and I'm going to focus on the new ones. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. I want to thank you so much for jumping in for 20 minutes, getting a little power lesson. And I hope that it was helpful to you guys. And I really look forward to meeting with you all next Monday. Have a good night, everyone.